Can curiosity prevent weight regain? How many of you have tried to lose weight and regained it? Let me see a show of hands. In the bariatric world, we call this weight recurrence. As a society, we are so concerned about losing weight that we fail to see the real problem, which is the regain. We should be focused on the prevention of weight recurrence, also known as weight regain or weight rebound, not just the weight loss. Why? Because if everyone who lost weight kept it off, we may not have this obesity epidemic. 95% of people who try to lose weight regain, and when done on repeat, most of those end up heavier than before they started the weight loss journey. 88% of US Americans have reported trying a weight loss program before. And to be honest, the other 12% probably just didn't report, because even if we are categorized at normal weight, we have all tried to lose weight in the past. Hi, I'm Dr. Franchelle Hamilton, board-certified obesity surgeon, and I have operated on hundreds, if not thousands, of obesity patients. I have seen them lose the weight with weight loss surgery and regain, and end up on the operating room table for their weight recurrence a second, if not third time. In seeing this, I was curious about what could I do to help them sustain their weight loss. What was the missing link? I am also board certified in obesity medicine, author of 2 books, and founder of NeuroSwitch Weight Loss. And I am here to make an impact in the obesity epidemic by training my patients to be more curious. As we all know, obesity has been on the rise for years and is now the cause of over 257 known medical conditions, and this includes 40% of cancers. Obesity is the 3rd most common cause of death in the globe among lifestyle diseases, and the World Health Organization said the prevalence has tripled since 1975. This makes it the most fastest growing invasive disease known. There have been so many people who have tried to lose weight, and people who struggle with obesity. Let's go beyond obesity as a disease. People who've struggled have had a decreased quality in life due to weight bias, depression, anxiety, and fertility concerns, just to name a few. There has been so many diets, exercise plans, medications, and even surgeries that have been created over the years that have been great at weight loss. But yet the number of overweight and obese adults, and now kids in the country, continue to rise. And why? Because with all the weight loss from those mechanisms follows weight recurrence. Something different needs to be done. Has anybody ever been curious that perhaps we are fixated on the wrong thing? Why are we so obsessed with just the weight loss when we should be focused on weight prevention, preventing the weight regain? See, the way I see obesity, it's not just the ability to lose weight, but it's the inability to keep it off. Now, don't get me wrong, as a bariatric surgeon, I feel like weight loss surgery is the most sustainable tool known, and that's been proven. But there's a foundational piece missing, and that is the neurobehavioral aspect that can be taught to patients using curiosity. See, the common thread that I've seen in patients who've been able to sustain their weight loss is that they were driven not by motivation, but by curiosity. Let me tell you my own story about curiosity and how it may have gotten me in trouble. See, growing up, I felt like I never fit in with the crowd because I always saw things differently. When everybody else went right, I was curious about what was to the left. And this curiosity then was labeled as defiant and landed me my junior year in an alternative school. The teacher there said I should focus on getting my GED, well, because that's what people there did. And my defiant self was again like, no, that's not for me. So I requested all the work that was required to be considered done and graduated. I remember the teacher mumbling under her breath as she rolled her eyes saying, whatever, but she reluctantly gave me the work. And 2 months later, I walked out of that jail cell of a school a free woman, graduated with my high school diploma my junior year. Going from alternative school to med school, I would like to think that I've become an expert in perspective shifts. Seeing things differently, not following the crowd, being curious, and not settling for the way things are labeled. This curiosity, although in my teenage years got me in a lot of trouble, it has revolutionized the way I practice medicine and helped me to create NeuroSwitch weight loss. See, as an obesity specialist, I learned early what people are discovering now, that true obesity is a chronic multifactorial disease. But in seeing patients on my operating room table a second and even third time for weight recurrence, I feel it's predominantly a neurodevelopmental disease that requires a neurobehavioral approach rooted in curiosity. This, over the years, has helped me research and discover that the root of sustainable weight loss can be found in both genes and a neurobehavioral science that I collectively call NeuroSwitch. And here is the neuro aspects. There are two main pathways that contribute to weight recurrence, the reward pathway and the anti-reward pathway. First, the reward pathway has neural connections that run deep and started forming at an early age based on your experiences. For example, as a baby, if you cry, you got picked up or fed, and this made you feel better. The brain started creating neural pathways that were rewarding based on all the experiences that you've had. So if this, then that. Another example is if I'm upset and eat chocolate, I feel better. The brain started creating strong, rewarding pathways driven by dopamine release that becomes highly myelinated pathways. This is why it's so hard for somebody to stop a rewarding unwanted behavior. It's like a car driving on a superhighway going on autopilot versus a new learned behavior is like a car driving on an unpaved rocky road. This dopamine-driven behavior pathway is very difficult to break. So one of the truths to prevent weight recurrence is to realize that trying to break or completely stop a rewarding but unwanted behavior, cold turkey, long-term will never work. Because the brain remembers that pathway, it's comforted, and these now become your default habits, often done unconsciously. So over time, when they run in the background, and your brain will often try to default to what it's known and what it feels comfortable with. Sure, you can completely give up sugar if you want, which is what a lot of people do for diets, and you'll lose those pounds. But what happens when you've had a bad or stressful day and the cravings come back with a vengeance? Well, you give in and go back to those old default comfortable habits, the weight returns along with a few of its friends. Why does this happen? Well, because when under stress, which hardly ever happens to any of us on a daily basis, our brain wants to go into comfort mode. It wants to go in rewarding mode. So it often remembers those habits that made us feel better. Not to mention the release of dopamine blunts the fight or flight response. So whenever we've had a stressful day or feel bad, that chocolate cake, here we come. Wait, there's another opposing pathway that we discussed, and this is called the anti-reward pathway. The anti-reward pathway acts as a kill switch to the brain, stopping all behaviors. Have you ever wondered why you start going to the gym or start a low keto diet in January and by February 1st, it's over? Why do you start good behaviors that you want to do and then all of a sudden just stop them? Well, this is your brain killing your motivation. There's an area in the brain called the lateral habenula, and this area is responsible for determining if a performance or a behavior is good or bad. So it remembers when you touch that stove and you burned your finger, and it will prevent you from doing that motor behavior again. It also remembers when my patient set a goal to lose 20 pounds and didn't do it. And it also remembers when you went to the gym to get that 8-pack and ended up coming out with 8 aches. The lateral habenula is responsible for suppressing a behavior that it perceives as a failure or an adverse event. So the next time you go do that behavior that you tried before that didn't work out so well, your lateral habenula kicks in and says, you know what? I remember this behavior. It didn't work out so well for us. Switch, killed. Stopped behavior, stopped. What is a way that you can prevent this from happening? Circumvent your habenula so it doesn't stop your motivation when you want to do good behaviors, when you're trying to learn new healthy behaviors? Well, the answer is in NeuroSwitch, and that is curiosity. Have you ever seen these daredevil stunts who go and do these amazing feats that look very dangerous on TV? They may ride their motorcycle on the one little wire, fall off, break an arm, but months later, they're back doing the same stunts. Some people would call this crazy. I call this curious. See, people who have curiosity will continue to get back up even if they've had a negative consequence. There have been several known people in history that have reflected and probably had curiosity, very much like my childhood defiant self. Abraham Lincoln failed 7 elections before he became president. Thomas Edison, for years, tried to figure out light before he was able to invent the light bulb. Steve Jobs spent years failing at creating computers in his garage before he came up with Apple, and then he didn't stop there. I would argue they either had a faulty habenula or they learned how to rewire it by curiosity. Have you wondered how you can circumvent these pathways? The answer is going to be through curiosity, and I want you to be open through these 3 approaches that I teach in NeuroSwitch. Number 1, stop setting goals if you're trying to lose weight. Instead, set intentions. Number 2, replace negative language with positive thinking. And number 3, stop being a patient. Instead, become a designer. So first, number 1, stop setting goals. In traditional medicine, we are taught to teach patients to set SMART goals, specific and measurable. But can you imagine for someone who's tried to lose weight time and time after again, for them to have to set X amount of pounds to lose over this measurable amount of time can backfire. They've tried it before. It can be a habenula event for them. Most people who have tried to lose weight have tried to lose it multiple times, and the term setting a goal for weight loss is almost like a mean word, very similar to nap to a toddler. Not to mention, setting a goal has an end. It ends, and lifestyle change needs to be continuous. Number 2, replace negative language for positive thinking. When people start weight loss journeys, normally they start off with, well, I'm going to have to give up, or I guess I have to. This automatically sets the wrong tone when you're starting a weight loss journey. Don't say you'll give up something. Instead, start with what you want to do or what you plan on doing. I get to experiment with different foods that I haven't tried before. Make it a positive experience, because in psychology, it shows that if we change the way we think about something to a more positive light, it'll have a more positive association with that thing. And so it will no longer become a dreadful experience, but something that can become fun and curious. Not only that, neuroscience tells us that if we rewire to become a more positive emotion, it's not just an emotion when we speak it. It shapes the way we respond to it. So if we say, I get to go work out, or I have the opportunity, it changes the way we feel about that behavior. Number 3, stop being a patient, but become a designer. All of us are unique, and medical programs and diets are not a one-size-fits-all. So the next time your provider or health coach or nutritionist gives you that low-carb diet, make it unique to you. Redesign it. Redesign it to fit your life, to fit your lifestyle. And then if it doesn't work out, think about different ways that you can tweak or make adjustments. See, patients often take. They take in information, but designers create. Designers, just like scientists, myself, we are rooted in curiosity, and so we're constantly asking questions on how things can be better, what adjustments can be made, what tweaks need to be made. See, once you become a designer, you won't see that diet, you won't see yourself as a failure. Failure is no longer in the person. Failure is in the design. Failure becomes an insight to you once you become a designer. So failure no longer exists once you become the designer and start creating. You just need a different version, and there may be many versions. So even though motivation may get you to the why and start your how, it's the curiosity that will ask you, what's next? How can I do better? How can I be better? A curiosity, an appetite that a kill switch can't stop. An appetite activated by NeuroSwitch. Thank you.